So if there was such a thing, ooh, that's loud, hello. If there was such a thing as a bachelor's in freaking out about your future, I would graduate at the top of that class. Because I've been looking at the way university works lately, and the way it's supposed to work anyway, and none of it has been all that reassuring. Basically goes like this. You get to first year, you figure out the one thing you want to do with the rest of your life, you study it, you graduate, you get a career in it, easy peasy, right? Look at some successful people and try to guess what they majored in, and you'll probably be right. Economics, poli-sci, English, computer science. It's kind of like university is this big conveyor belt from your youth to your future. You pick a path and you better like it because it's leading you to this inevitable predetermined career. And I don't know about you guys, but graduation is looming large for me. And I don't really feel like I have all that much figured out. Sometimes it feels like the only jobs out there looking for a BA in anthropology are academic positions and Indiana Jones. And academic positions are great, but they're not what really appeals to me. And if anyone figures out a way to apply to be Indiana Jones, please let me know. So I've gotten the whole, oh, anthropology, what are you going to do with that? I've gotten that whole thing so many times I could scream, and I know I'm not alone. All around me, there are students freaking out about their future. There are reasons Facebook groups like this exist. It's a phenomenon I've taken to calling major angst. And this kind of pressure can do horrible things to people. It can make otherwise brilliant people like all of you here today, and I know you're all brilliant, it can make you panic. It can make you doubt yourself. It can make you want to give up. So what I want to do today while I have this time with you is tell my story about how I learned to stop worrying and love my major again. And hopefully, if you're finding yourself in a similar situation, something here will help you. So let's start somewhere near the beginning. This is my family. Aww. My mom and dad, my older brother, older sister, my two little sisters, and my little brother. And if anyone here knows or is the middle kid in a large family, you'll know that we, as a group, are notorious introverts. And I'm certainly no exception to that rule. So my mom has a favorite anecdote that she loves to tell at family gatherings. When we were all younger, both my parents worked, so we had a series of nannies taking care of us during the day. And one day, I don't know quite how old I was, but I couldn't be that old, my mom asked me what the nanny had fed us for lunch. And I said I couldn't remember. And she said, don't be silly. She asked me again, and I said, Mommy, I don't think I had lunch. And she said, Camille, of course you had lunch. Nobody ever believes little kids, right? But she was curious, and she went to ask the nanny, who said she had called everyone down to lunch, but there were just so many of us, and I was always so quiet, she didn't really notice if I was there or not. Which I always take as more of a reflection of the nanny's stellar work ethic, but it also goes to show that I just kind of always flew under the radar. So when I got to UBC, I was convinced that this was where I was going to find my voice. I chose to major in anthropology. It was going to be perfect. I went to all my 100-level anthro courses, and I was amazed and fascinated by all the great stuff I was reading and learning from my professors. And all through first year, it was like that. Merrily along I went until eventually, I got to the point where I found myself in a situation I'm sure all of you will or have found yourselves in at some point. It became, let me hand in this assignment, let me finish this paper, let me get through this week. My school was becoming a series of deadlines. It was making me bitter. I was just about ready to pull the plug on this whole university education business. I was in a rut. I was trudging through my degree. I was unhappy. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So I decided I went on a mission to recapture that original love affair, that original spark that I had with my area of study. First things first, I got a hobby. I bought myself a ukulele at the beginning of last year, and I taught myself to play it. No major feat, in case you're wondering, everyone can learn it. Although I would suggest that you only choose playing a cartoonishly small musical instrument on YouTube as a hobby if you have a good sense of humor about yourself or a very thick skin, because people on the internet, they can be really nice, but they can be big jerks. found that I needed that outlet. I needed that opportunity to disconnect my mind from school, if only for a few minutes a day. Yoga, rock climbing, stamp collecting, whatever you choose. Einstein was a violinist. Whatever helps you keep your sanity. So the next thing I did was I started trying to gear my courses towards what I was actually interested in. So like I said, I love music, listening to it, talking about it, playing it. Before I was an anthropology student, I was a counter-performance major, and it's still a very big part of my life. And the beauty of term papers, especially in most arts courses, is that you can take literally almost any topic the professor might assign and twist and turn it into the topic of your choice. So in that musical vein, these are the titles of some of the papers that I wrote last year. Keep in mind that none of these courses were originally about music. And if I remember correctly, I got pretty good grades in all of these because I was researching topics I was actually interested in instead of trying to play to what I thought was expected of me. And trust me, professors want you to do this. They want you to be interested in what you're studying. Another great tool for this at UBC is the Student-Directed Seminars program. I took one of these last winter, and it absolutely 100% changed my life. If you're not familiar with the Student-Directed Seminars, they are 3-credit courses created and led by students with a faculty advisor or sponsor, and they happen across faculties, and they function pretty much like discussion groups. In the course I took, we had tea and snacks, and we chatted about what we had read that week. I got to use crayons and glue and scissors on my assignments, and I worked on a project that I am still, to this day, really proud of, and I was graded by my peers. What more could you ask for? At the time, it kind of felt like I was cheating the system. I'm like, really? I'm getting marks for this? Is this allowed? But in the end, I've never put so much into or gotten so much out of a course. The third thing I did was I started assigning myself fun readings. So full disclosure, I kind of actually love reading for courses, which is a good thing considering I'm an art student, because that's basically all we do. But yeah, when I first started out, I would print out all my readings. I would read them all attentively, never skim. I would make little notes in the margins, highlight them and stuff, keep them all in binders for easy future reference, the whole shebang. And I started realizing that I was overdosing on course readings when this happened. This was my combined assigned reading, double-sided printouts, for a single week of class last year. This right here, this is no longer fun no matter how much you love reading. How are you supposed to connect with this material? How are you supposed to be engaged? You have to take a step back from this, and you have to start looking for sources of information in stuff you already enjoy. So I turned to our Lord and Savior, the internet. And I thought there are 1.5 million blogs talking about, music and fashion and celebrity gossip, so much celebrity gossip. There's got to be something out here that I can use. And I started looking around, and I found that there was really this huge community of anthropologists and museum professionals and museum students who were blogging about these academic topics, the same kind of stuff I was talking about in class, with the same kind of passion and enthusiasm that I started out with. And I could comment on what they wrote, and I could communicate them in a way that I never could with that stack of paper. And that sounds like a huge nerd party, I know, but there's just something contagious about it when the stuff that you're seeing in class, stuff that I was studying, like ethnographic research, cultural property law, they were talking about, and they were excited about it. You can absolutely find these kinds of resources for your area of study, no matter what you do. Find something smart and entertaining. Everybody already knows about XKCD, so I don't even need to mention it. Us arts and humanities students have our nerdy webcomics too. Let y'all read it. This one is written by actually a UBC engineering alumna. It's always a good read. And what happens when you start paying attention to this stuff is you become that person who has weird, topical, fascinating stuff to share in class. You become that person. It's kind of exciting. Let's stop wasting our discussion time. Everybody's had that hour of class where people twiddle their thumbs and look away and try to avoid talking. Be that person that gets the conversation started. Get yourself interested, and you'll get other people interested. I guarantee you will start looking forward to those courses you used to dread. So that's what I did. I have made some suggestions today, but I urge you to go out and find what works for you. Okay, if you don't remember anything else I say today, remember this. Your education, it doesn't need to be a hurdle. You are actually allowed to enjoy it. And so now here I am. I'm loving what I study again. Where does that get me when it comes to the conveyor belt? Am I on a career path that I don't want to be on? Am I going to get spit out at the end of this journey in having all these doors closed on me? Well, thankfully, it's really not always like that. You may think that by picking your major, you've pigeonholed yourself, you've closed all these doors on yourself, but it really isn't. You might be Carly Fiorina, who was a medieval studies major one day and CEO of Hewlett-Packard the next. You might be Mia Hamm, who was a poli-sci major before she was a soccer star. You might be Garfunkel, who was, if you can believe it, a math major before he was Garfunkel. And because really, when you get down to it, your undergraduate studies, they're not about training for a career, not really. It's not about how many math formulas you end up knowing or if you can remember all the plot points to Dracula. It's not about that. It's about opening your mind to new ideas and new ways of thinking, and it's about adding your voice to the conversation. And when you do that, no opportunities will be closed to you. So in that vein of adding your voice to the conversation, I thought I would play you guys a song. Sound good? Okay. Do a little wardrobe adjusting here. Okay, so anybody like Cat Stevens here? Yeah.